and welcome back to BuckShots with Trevor and Luke. This is a different show compared to the last 2 weeks, considering we're both on this time rather than one of us taking the reins. So it is nice to be back. Um, I don't even know what episode this is, 6, 7, somewhere in that range. But we're here again to recap the Milwaukee Bucks games from last week. We'll give you a preview of this coming week's games, including tonight, as well as the Bucks were in the news a little bit with signings, little injury stuff to keep an eye on. But we'll cover all that. But just to get started off the bat, last week the Bucks Sunday they were at the Pacers, won 118 to 100. They had a great game against the Hornets, at home against the Hornets, where they won 127 to 125 on a not quite a buzzer beater, but as close to a buzzer beater as you can get. And then they lost the day after on Thursday to the Raptors, 97-93. So Trevor, we can just get right into it here, and let's just talk about the Indiana game, where we had mentioned it a couple times in the past that Indiana is always going to be a grinded out team, whether they're good or not. Indiana's a state's known for basketball. They're always a tough opponent, especially a division opponent that Milwaukee seems to have trouble with a little bit. But that's what you're going to get out of a feisty team like Indiana. But in this game, the Bucks won 118 to 100. Just looking at some stats here. Giannis had 26 points, 13 rebounds. Chris Middleton added 14 points and 5 rebounds. But the big night came from Drew Holiday, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. So Trevor, just off the bat, I know we both probably watched this game a little bit. What were your initial thoughts from watching this?
It's always impressive to not only win by 18 on the road, um, but especially when you only shoot just under 23% from deep. Granted, the Pacers didn't shoot well from deep either, but Drew Holiday, he was 11 for 21. He played well, but only 1 for 7 from deep too. So it's nice to know that even when 3-point shots aren't falling, you can beat if we're being honest, lesser team
Yeah,
in the Pacers. You're probably not going to be able to get away with that very much in the playoffs. But this is one of those games where it shows you how much ahead the Bucks are and those few elite teams are than the rest of the pack.
right. And just to elaborate on that 3-point shooting, Bobby Portis 1 for 3, Chris Middleton 1 for 5, Drew Holiday 1 for 7. Grayson Allen was the only one with more than one 3-pointer. He went 2 for 4. Pat Connaughton 1 for 6, George Hill 1 for 5, and Rodney Hood 1 for 2. So it seems like everyone in this game had a three, just kind of sprinkled around, with a lot of misses. But just to touch on the scoring, this is another game where we saw two guys come off the bench and score double figures, and Pat Connaughton with 14 points, George Hill with 13 points. I mean, we'll get into the Bucks signing DeMarcus Cousins in a second, but this was another game where the next big guy off the bench with Drew Holiday was Mammo, if you want to call him a big guy. So once again, that 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 secondary, scoring in the paint wasn't quite there. And I don't know if that, there's repercussions of that with Giannis being out, maybe being a little sore, maybe, but that still is concerning. That you're not getting a lot of paint scoring, you're not getting a lot of bench depth from big guys yet.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that is super nice to see is George Hill. He played 29 minutes, most off the bench, even more than Bobby Portis, who started. Only 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 from deep. But what I love about it is the 6 for 6 from the free throw line.
Yeah,
To your point, like you're not getting much going inside. You still got to attack the paint because otherwise it's going to be impossible to make threes if you're cold and they're guarding you right out there. So it was a good performance from Hill to see that even without, that big other than Giannis, and even with the shots not falling, they're still attacking the paint, getting in there.
right. Yeah, and I don't know how much more I mean we have to say about this game. It just felt like a Bucks win, over, like you said, an inferior team. They took care of business. Like to see the 3-point shooting up a little bit, but other than that, the only player who really did damage for Indiana was Karis LeVert, who had 23 points but he shot 9 of 13, so he shot very well that game. It's tough to guard a guy if he's making so many shots, he's scoring so consistently. And other than that, Malcolm Brogdon was the next highest scorer, 16 on 5 of 12 shooting. So this was a game where defense was good, but Indiana's offense didn't really come at a premium for them. I mean, Miles Turner, their big guy, with Brook Lopez out, had 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting. Miles Turner is not an all-star, but he's looking to be getting up to that trajectory a little bit. So to see a big guy, big starter, probably with the center position kind of dying down, one of the better centers in the NBA, only have 2 points against a Brook Lopez-less Bucks is very encouraging to see.
Yeah, and also, kind of a little bit of Pacers talk here. Sabonis 1 for 8, 2 for 3 from the
Right.
line, 4 points. He had 10 rebounds, 5 assists, but like you said, against a Brook Lopez-less Bucks, that's just unacceptable, especially for the player we've seen him be the past 2 seasons.
Right, especially it wasn't one of these games where someone was like ball hogging on Indiana either, because nobody had more than 13 shots. So I don't know what the system was. I know Giannis switched on to Sabonis a couple times. I wonder if that kind of not scared him, but kind of deterred him from being the all star that he was the last couple seasons. But just to move on, let's get to the exciting game. Let's get to Charlotte, Milwaukee. So this game was back and forth, I guess you want to call it, but the Bucks found themselves in a very close game. One that before we even talk about the game, just in terms of the game winner, obviously it was an inbound pass on the side. Giannis caught it running full speed off of a Drew Holiday pass, I think. I'm not completely sure, but he caught it at about half court running full speed and was just able to get to the hoop and put in a layup with less than a second left. Just to touch on that real quick, that was a great play designed by Mike Budenholzer to get the best player on your team the ball, who is known for getting to the lane, running forward from half court in 2 seconds. I don't know if you thought the same, Trevor, but that looked perfect the way that was drawn up and played and how it played out.
Yeah, I think the only unfortunate thing is I think a lot of people that don't know basketball very well are going to look at that play and say, see, he just, runs inside and lays it in or dunks. To anybody that knows the game, and especially if you saw it slowed down, where that ball hit the backboard, I mean, he put an incredible amount of spin on that. And I don't think people understand just how difficult that is to do with your right hand, let alone the left.
Right,
So, to your point, great play call, but, I hope people are seeing that how difficult of a layup that is too, right? Like if he misses that, people are saying Giannis missed a layup, but I mean, that was one hell of a finish that if you're the Hornets, I mean, you kind of have to take it. I mean,
right.
there's nothing more they could have done. They defended that pretty well, to be fair to them.
Yeah. And to your point, like you said, like all Giannis, like people saying that all Giannis does is, run to the hoop and dunk and do whatever. That's what he's best at, first of all. If everyone could do it, everyone would do it, you know? I've never understood that idea that people want other players to do everything when if something's working for them, why not just keep doing it? But
Yeah, it's kind of like in baseball, everybody expects a Mike Trout, everybody expects a Babe Ruth that's a five-tool player, you
right.
know, if a guy can go up to the plate, hit 250 but mash 50 home runs a year, that's just fine too.
Right. Yeah, it's like when Mariano Rivera came in and all he threw was his cutter. Nobody ever said anything then, that all he can throw is a cutter. But so in this game, we just talked about Giannis. He ended up 1 assist short of a triple double, 40 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 15 of 24 shooting from the field, 1 of 4 from the 3-point line, 9 of 13 on free throws. The next highest score, Chris Middleton, 4 of 8 from three. I'm sorry, 21 points, 4 of 8 from three. Grayson Allen added 16 points. Bobby Portis had 10. Drew Holiday had 11. George Hill and Pat Connaughton both double figures again off the bench, both with 11. So this scoring was, other than you obviously 127 points scoring has to be spread out, but this game it seemed even more true. I mean, Giannis got his like he's always going to, but this wasn't a game where Giannis had to score 40 and Chris Middleton had to score 35 or anything like that. Everyone in the starting lineup and sixth and seventh guy chipped in, which is very encouraging to see.
Yeah, Bobby Portis has been carrying a lot of weight recently. And, in respect to him and Chris, they combined for 10 for 29. Not only Bobby has been carrying a lot of weight, but Middleton has too. So even though they got their points, it's nice to see, like you said, other people step up. And Boogie, Hill, and Connaughton all stepped up. It just goes to show no bench role needs to get 20. So it's super nice to see a lot of people step up, 7 guys in double figures. I mean, when the Bucks do that, I don't know who's going to beat them.
Right. Especially, you had mentioned before, or we just talked about against Indiana that only one person made more than one 3-pointer in that game. This game, Grayson Allen 3 for 5. He shot 6 and 9 from the field, and most of those are jump shots, which is incredible to see that he's making jump shots at that rate against what I think is a solid Hornets team. Maybe they're not championship worthy or even like top 5, top 6 in the East, but they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. They're going to give the 2 or 1 seed a run for their money. And Chris Middleton 4 of 8, Pat Connaughton 3 of 6 shooting from three. So that all is working into that idea. Especially when those guys get shooting threes, that makes it that much more easy for Giannis to drive the lane. I mean, we talk about this every week, but just hitting 1 or 2 threes opens up the lane so much. And I think a little bit that went into that to that game winning layup Giannis had.
Yeah, and on the offense side of the ball too, it was incredible that they not only won this game but came back at all. I think Charlotte was like 10 of 15 from three in the first
Hmm.
quarter. They're up 16 going into the second. LaMelo Ball and Oubre, I like them as players. They will never. I mean, they'll shoot like that maybe once a season. Old Bucks teams, if they fall behind like that, they just kind of fall apart. Even during the championship, season, they had a lot of games like that. So to see them fall down that much but stick with their identity is definitely reassuring.
Right. And then on the Hornets side of the ball, like you just mentioned, LaMelo Ball 36 points, Kelly Oubre 25, and Miles Bridges added another 22. So this seemed like a game to me. Trevor, I don't know about you, but this seemed like a game to me where it was just kind of a shootout, and defense was at a premium in this game. Like both teams were on fire, both teams were shooting great. Like you said, the Hornets were up 16 going into the second. The Bucks fought back, went up or down 8 at half, up 2 at the third, and then they tied scoring. So really, it was that second quarter and that third quarter push that really helped the Bucks here, which is nice to see. It's always nice to see a team come out and win the third quarter, especially because that gives you that much more of a cushion for the fourth quarter, and that really really helped. Really helped the Bucks in this game, especially with, like you said, how LaMelo Ball and Kelly Oubre and Miles Bridges were playing.
Yeah, and I think the thing that gets lost in the mix about this game too, if you just watch the game, not really paying attention or what have you, only 7 players got more than 3 minutes for the Hornets. That won't last. Like this is an 82 game season, and we're assuming they're going to make the playoffs. That tells me just how little faith they have in that bench. Granted,
Hmm.
Cody Martin had an injury, illness; he didn't play, but this team is going to get worn down. So I know there are a lot of people saying we should be beating them by more. It's at home. This team shot lights out in the first and gassed themselves, and the Bucks still came out on top. So, as worrisome as it may seem to some, especially with Bridges' last second shot, I mean,
Hmm.
that'll be something else entirely. But a win's a win, and we'll definitely take it.
Yeah, and just for what if people didn't watch that game, alluding to Bridges' last second shot, they inbounded the ball and Miles Bridges took a just beyond half court shot, hit the backboard, hit the rim, and bounced out. One maybe just whatever. It could have went in. It was that close, but just like the NFL, the NBA, you don't apologize for a loss, and you take down maybe a playoff team here. And I just wanted to touch on that with you, Trevor. They're Charlotte's bench isn't great. I mean, their team in general is very young, first of all. So
Hmm.
I'm wondering if games like this, young guys are always going to come out and try to prove everything right away. I'm sure they're going to play hard in the regular season. I'm wondering if they're going to get burned out a little bit by playoff time. But just to kind of put a bow on it, really the only guys on the team that are, I guess you could call them old, are Gordon Hayward, maybe Terry Rozier, and Ish Smith. But the rest of this team, they look primed to kind of do run in the regular season, do what they do, and give maybe a one, like I said, a 1 or 2 season trouble and burn out come playoff time.
Yeah, this will be an interesting team because they kind of remind me of the Hawks a couple years ago
Yeah,
when Trae Young was first getting started. They obviously need like another piece and some bench depth. Obviously, the salary cap and free agents not wanting to go to the Miamis or LAs will hurt them. It'll be interesting to see how this comes out because I'll give LaMelo Ball credit. I didn't think he'd be much of anything. I thought he'd be Lonzo when he was in LA.
right.
He's a hell of a player this
Yeah,
season
is he,
and last.
yeah, he's already the best ball brother, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay. We will. So, Trevor, you had mentioned DeMarcus Cousins. We'll hop in on some news and injuries after we recap the Raptors game. We'll do some injury news, stuff like that, and then we'll go into preview, and then we'll get out of here. But just to quickly wrap it up, last week the Bucks the very next day had to travel to Toronto, which in my mind is always tough. Having to, I know it's not that far, but having to go to a different country, having to travel that night or that morning, whatever they do, and get ready and play another basketball game back to back. It's going to be a tough game, and that's especially what we saw. Toronto not a great basketball team in my opinion. They beat the Bucks 97-93. The one takeaway that I had from this game is I saw Toronto the Raptors Twitter account I think tweeted how are you
Yeah.
feeling about that Bucks fans or something, and someone tweeted out, yeah, at least our star player didn't leave after they won a championship, which is pretty funny. But in this game, speaking of star player, Giannis did not play. He had right calf soreness, which is parallel to what's going on tonight. Giannis is out again tonight with right calf soreness. But we saw Pat Connaughton start instead of Giannis. In this game, Chris Middleton, 22 points. Drew Holiday, 26 points. Bobby Portis, 15 points. And nobody else was in double digits. I think I know your answer to this, Trevor, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is this reason for concern, or is it just a fluke back-to-back situation?
Uh, just kind of a fluke.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost by 4. Drew, for as good as he was, shooting 2 for 5 from the line, right? Like we had to give Sandro 23 minutes. I don't think, yeah, Cousins did not play this game.
Mm-mm.
Obviously Giannis was out. So to go on the road on the second leg of a back to back, lose by 4, you know, I'm not worried at all, especially seeing, you know, Fred VanVleet, Siakam, they played well. Granted, Gary Trent didn't play up to snuff, but like you said, only 4 guys hit double digits. I mean, this bench was horrible, or didn't get much run. So it's what happens happens. It's
Right.
in the seeding, but I mean, are we really gonna? I mean, you score 17 points at a quarter, you lose by 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Especially with Giannis being out too, like he may be one of the best players in at least my lifetime that people can play off of because he attracts so much attention. I'm thinking to like LeBron James' his second time with the Cleveland Cavaliers, kind of that range, where so many people get drawn inside and he can just kick out, and there's always guys wide open. So even with him coming in and scoring his 30 points, that helps so many other players get into those double figures. And when you don't have a guy like that, you're gonna have to rely on Chris Middleton trying to create jump shots or Drew Holiday trying to take people off the dribble and stuff like that, which obviously is not as effective as Giannis.
Yeah, and the other thing that was kind of weird about this game, and I know if anybody is a Toronto fan is watching, yeah, I get Toronto committed 24 fouls to 12. I understand that. But that's kind of indicative of what we see from the Bucks usually. The interesting thing for me was Bobby Portis and Holiday both had 5 fouls, and only 2 other players had 1. Um, I get those guys are aggressive and stuff, but them having to play with foul trouble obviously made an impact as well. And I'm not saying it's rigged or anything like that, but when you have 2 guys get 5 fouls, nobody else gets 2. I mean, when one team gets double the fouls, you got to raise some eyebrows about that.
Right, right. What I did like in this game though is without Giannis, without Brook Lopez, the Bucks had 47 rebounds, which tied the Raptors. Like both teams had 47 rebounds. So Toronto wasn't dominated on the boards like they should have without Giannis and Brook. But Toronto started Precious Achiuwa at center. Who's pretty short for a starting center. Um, nobody really rebounded well from him. Siakam had 8. Gary Trent had 8, and a lot of those were off of long missed threes, just going and grabbing a rebound. So to me, that was encouraging to see without two big guys that the Bucks were actually rebounding well.
Yeah, and you nailed it on the head. Achua, he's shorter, but he's still a good rebounder. And,
Right.
to your point about long rebounds, for the most part, it was just, usually teams have their big guys camped in the middle, get the rebounds, slowly run up the court. This one, it almost felt like more of a free for all with the rebounds. And
Hmm.
if you are out Giannis and Brook Lopez, and to your point, you can tie it and make it kind of a free for all. I mean, you definitely take that, especially on the road. People say, the road isn't as big of a factor as rebounding. You question it, but everything's tougher on the road. So to tie that battle, you definitely take it with a team as big as Toronto.
Right. So just to transition into a little injury news here, Giannis will miss his second game tonight with right calf soreness. Question in the chat is from my father, who's asking about concerns for Giannis in the shortened offseason. Are you concerned about his endurance for a strong playoff run? I do not think that I am. I think this is all just precautionary. Maybe he had a little soreness. Let him sit 2 games here, and then let him sit 2 games, and then the Bucks have after tonight. Their next game is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So they have they're playing every other day this coming week. I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis sat maybe another one or another two. What are your thoughts on that, Trevor?
I love it. Actually, I hope they sit him the fourth and the eighth, both games against Miami.
Yeah.
It was a short off season. He did make the statements we touched on, I think, the first episode about how his knee is not fully ready, and that gave cause for concern. Miami's going to beat the hell out of him, and they're just going to smack him around and
Hmm.
do whatever. So you know, people can say what they want on social media, whatever, right? But this is a smart thing to do, right? You already have Brooke out for who knows how long. We don't know how long Boogie's going to last. You know what Miami's going to do. Miami gets dirty when they get behind, kind of like who would kind of like the
Seattle.
Ohio State or Seattle, yeah,
Yeah.
football. So you might as well just keep them out of harm's way, put them in against Cleveland, and especially where you are in the standings now, with it being so jumbled behind Brooklyn. One
Right.
game is not going to kill you.
Right. So to touch on the rest of the news here, obviously the big news of the week was it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere, was the Bucks signing DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins, I believe, is a 4-time All-Star. Played with the Kings, Pelicans, Lakers, Rockets, maybe. Um, but obviously, he was at time, I would say, the best center in the league, maybe 5, 6 years ago. He's a guy who likes to play physical. He likes to bust down low. Likes to hammer guys playing defense. Which seems like this signing is just a bigger PJ Tucker to me. I don't think DeMarcus Cousins needs to be relied on for offense at all. Maybe in the bench unit a little bit, but this is a depth piece and kind of that toughness that PJ Tucker had last year. Is that how you feel, or are you feeling a little something else from the signing?
I feel a little bit of that. I think it's also to try to shore up the paint a little bit. Granted,
Yeah.
he's not a very good defensive player, but you still need that height somewhere. He only played one game, but he looked good. You can definitely see the impact. Some of the passes he was making. I mean, it shows you the talent he has if his body holds up. So, that's all we need from him. And personally, I think the sky's the limit, right? I think what we saw in Golden State and Houston and New Orleans when his body was kind of given out, where teams needing him to give him 25, 30 minutes a game, if the Bucks can keep him at 15 to 20, I think he has a higher chance of staying healthy, and he'll be a great bench piece for sure.
Yeah, and he's so Zach, our guy at Flurry, just wrote in and said the cousin signing was to give Porter someone to fight in practice, which would be great. I was just about to bring up that DeMarcus Cousins likes he gets a lot of technical fouls. He likes to yell at refs a little bit, and as frustrating as the old heads think that is, I think it does fire up the team a little bit. Gives something to rally around, especially in a close game like DeMarcus Cousins is jawing with I don't know anyone, Marcus Smart or something. You get the fans on your side because the fans are going to support you no matter what. Then it kind of turns into a bloodbath, and those games are so much more fun to play, and those games are so much more fun to watch. So I think with how older DeMarcus Cousins is than when he was, I think he still can provide that energy a little bit.
For sure, for sure. And, a lot of people look at him and a lot of other players like Marcus Smart who get a lot of technicals and they say they're very stupid players. I think there are a lot of times where they do, right, get in their head and they do really
Right,
stupid things. But to your point, getting in the head is big. And then there have been a lot of games where people don't really pay attention, but Marcus Smart gets in a scuffle with the best player, at least gets a best player technical, if not ejected.
right.
And I mean, if we're talking playoff time, right? You're playing Miami, they're beating the hell out of Giannis. We might lose to DeMarcus Cousins, but let's say he gets in a fight with Jimmy Butler or Bam, that kills them.
Right.
So I'm not saying DeMarcus go out and fight somebody every game, right? But like if need to, you got a guy who's got your back, and especially Bud, he's not a very vocal coach, so I think having players that are really helps.
Right. Like, look at Draymond Green. He made a career out of trying to get LeBron James ejected from playoffs, right? And he's turned that into what, 5 All-Star appearances and probably a Hall of Fame spot. And but guys like that are just, they're so important for a team to just have some identity and just to bring some energy. Speaking of energy, the Bucks also signed Javante Smart, who, for people who don't know, he was the best player on the good LSU teams a couple years back under Will Wade. I think they were a 3 seed in the tournament, where he averaged, I think 2 years ago, he averaged 16 points, 3 years ago, 13, and then last year, something like 14, somewhere around there. So he is a guard. He's kind of a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. He can kind of play all three, but he likes to score the ball, which, on a team trying to make a championship run, trying to make a back-to-back championship run, scoring the ball, anyone who wants to score the ball, I am welcoming on this team. But this costs the Justin Robinson, who I thought was a nice young piece. I do think Javante Smart's a better player, but Justin Robinson was waived for Javante Smart. Trevor, where do you see Javante Smart fitting into this rotation, and what impact do you think he has for the team?
I don't think much right now. I'll give him credit. He hit 7 threes the other night, I
Yeah, I
think.
think so.
Um, if nothing else, right, you piss off the Heat and their fans. Heat fans are like, oh, they stole our players, which
Hmm.
tells me you clearly don't know how basketball works, which is fine. But just Robinson didn't really give you much, anyways. Like I
Right.
didn't mind him. He kind of grew on me a little bit at the end, but if he's not contributing something, what's the point? Like if somebody goes down, do I want Robinson stepping in? No.
Probably not.
But if somebody goes down and Smart steps in, still don't want that, right? But I'd be a little more at ease.
Right. Yeah, and like I said with LSU, he was a guy there. I want to say he brought him to Sweet 16, Elite Eight, maybe. But this guy can score the basketball, and I do think it this helps a lot more than what hurt. I don't know that it hurts in any way, but I think he's just not the next step up from Justin Robinson, but he's a better Justin Robinson in my mind. So the last news to talk about here that I have written down, or I guess Trevor, you wrote it down, was we finally heard something about Brook Lopez after getting injured the very first game. He had back surgery and he is out indefinitely. I didn't see a timeline. Trevor, did you see a timeline on it? All I saw was out
Yeah,
indefinitely.
yeah. They said he'd be back just before the playoffs. So
So the whole regular season.
unfortunately, if he has a setback, we're talking about missing playoff time now. It
Right.
sounded like he'd be back with 5 to 10 games left, which is good enough to warm up. But again, if he gets a setback, boy,
Especially because Brook Lopez was so he wasn't the star, he wasn't the second best player. At times he was the third best, at times he wasn't in the playoffs, but he was just so instrumental in, keeping Kevin Durant out of the paint, keeping Trey Young from, driving and throwing up alley oops and floaters. Just having a 7-footer there stick his hands up is so important to this team. And with the rebounding, which is going to be obviously tough to match. But I'm wondering if I think it's obvious now that the DeMarcus Cousins signing was based off of this, and I'm wondering if they're going and grab another guy. Trade deadline's obviously a ways away, but I'm wondering if they're already in trade talks trying to get another starting caliber center to help the Bucks out here.
yeah. And we've been talking about Dante DiVincenzo and trading him. I think you give him some run. Hopefully, you look good. he looks good, and I think he's the guy you trade.
Yeah,
The Cavs have a lot of guys. Obviously, I mean, they just have only power forwards. It seems like. Um, so you can go there. There are going to be a lot of guys on expiring contracts you can get, but they do definitely need somebody. The one good thing I will say is for those who are thinking playoffs already, which is fair. Um, all the reports coming out about Kyrie Irving are that there's no progress. Like he's not going to get vaxxed.
right,
A lot can still change, but the fact that we're a couple months in and it's still the same, if not worse, is good. So it's really about beating Brooklyn. And to your point, you need that guy in the middle. So Boogie's going to do that, but he can't be in the game 40 minutes.
right. Depending on how Philadelphia does, I know Philadelphia would probably never trade with Milwaukee unless something huge happened. But I've always been a fan of Andre Drummond for the team. I mean, he feels like he would fit perfect. He's not going to bring the defense that Brook did, but the dude gets feels like 25 rebounds every single game, which would be perfect. He plays that inside. He likes to throw the elbows a little bit. Zach saying bring back Robin Lopez, which would be incredible in my mind. I don't know why they ever got rid of him. But yeah, I do think that there's a move on the horizon yet to bring in another big guy, and I guess we'll just wait and see what happens with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's going to be somebody on the block or maybe even a free agent they're looking at. But, it'll be interesting because they should probably be doing something sooner rather than later because, again, you don't want to give Boogie too much run.
Right. And especially doing something sooner than later because chemistry means so much in basketball. Knowing where guys are, all these no look passes are all chemistry. All these 3-point shots and knowing where the ball is going to come off, it's all chemistry. So to get a guy in sooner than later just helps to build that right away. And give it 60 games till playoffs or whatever it is to let these guys develop a chemistry and just get after it and get ready for playoffs.
Yeah, to touch on the injury a little more, I don't know about you, but I was personally a little peeved by how this was handled.
Agreed.
I get, and they came out and Bud say, even trying to do rehab, it's going slow, it's not working, surgery. That's completely fine, right? That's completely valid. But at the same time, either A, say something, right? I mean, they said
Right.
nothing. It was like a conspiracy at times. One and two, like the problem was never the regular season, right? The problem was never are we going to make the playoffs? It was always can we repeat? So
Right.
wait so long for surgery where it pushes it back this far, it just seems like a dumb decision. And I don't know who made it, but I think whoever made it needs to be looked at under a little bit of a microscope.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if they were trying to keep it under wraps a little bit, because they didn't know what was going on. They just wanted to see how it worked out, and they finally got to a fuck it, let's get him surgery and we'll put it out. So I don't even know that the Bucks knew what was going on, which is a little concerning in my mind. But with a back injury, they're always so tough whether you should get surgery or not, or if you can just put a hot heat press or whatever they do, throw a shot in there, whatever. But back injury really something you don't want to mess with, especially Brook Lopez in the stage of his career that he's at. It does suck that he's going to be out, but if the Bucks want to make a championship run, it probably is the best move.
Yeah, and also, you talked about chemistry, and chemistry is important, but also one of the most important things is learning how to win without your big guy.
Right.
And I mean, that's what we've seen, right? I mean, the Bucks in their what was it, 7, 8 game win streak. I mean, the best team they really beat was the Hornets, really, which doesn't say a lot, but still being able to get some of those wins, grind out some wins. Hopefully when he comes back, if he comes back, hopefully they'll just be that much stronger because hey, we know how to win without him. Now we can win with him, and that'll help them
Agreed.
too.
Yeah. So Zach, once again, talking about Bismack Biyombo for defense. I have a bias against Bismack Biyombo. I absolutely hate him from his time when he was with the Raptors. He is a good defender. He is a good big man down low. I don't know if he's starter caliber. But if you're getting Bismack Biyombo, you're not expecting points from him. So I don't hate that thought.
I got a guy I want to bring back. First of all, I like Biombo. I also think what the Bucks could do. He was such a great player on the Raptors
Hmm.
early in his career on that one playoff series against LeBron. I can see him being kind of that same role on the Bucks, like just a flash in the pan playoff guy. But the one guy I want to bring back the most, I don't know if it would work, but we don't even have to trade for him. He's playing in Israel right now. Thon Maker is only
Agreed.
24, man. Like, I love he was Bobby Portis before Bobby Portis with the
Hmm.
energy, right? And he would take things so personal, and it didn't work with Detroit. I think a lot of that was Detroit. Like, if we're being honest, like he
Agreed.
fit perfectly for the Bucks. I think he still does, just in the role they need him to play. I don't think they do bring him back, but
It'd be
I
fun.
don't see how exactly. I don't see how he'd fail in a role where you just tell him, "Hey, hit
Put
the
your arms up.
occasional three and put your arms up."
Hmm.
Exactly. Maybe get some great boards.
Right. Thon Maker's also a player that anyone listening, watching, whatever, watching a rewatch, whatever, go stop after this show. Go watch his high school mixtape. It's one of the very first ones that I started watching, and I became instantly attached to it. Like the guy is a 7 footer, just absolutely dominating these white high school guys. It's very funny to watch, and he's hitting threes all over. He's dribbling between. He's doing everything. It's just a very fun mixtape to watch.
And if you're also watching, if you're maybe not a Bucks fan or an NBA fan, or maybe you're a newer Bucks fan, whatever, go back and watch his series against the Celtics, where I think the Bucks lost in
Sick.
seven, I think, or six. They lost in one of them, but he had that sequence. I was at the game. I've
Yeah,
never heard Fiserv louder ever. When he had the back-to-back blocks, he was playing out of his mind. It was incredible, must watch.
agreed. So with the is there anything else you want to talk about from last week? News, games, anything before we hop into this week's slate of games?
Just a tough touch on it briefly. Wes Matthews is back.
Yep.
I don't think that helps him that much, right? Like, we have plenty of guards, but it's nice to have a guy that knows the team. That's really
Yeah.
all I got about
I,
it.
I think Grayson Allen took over that Wes Matthews role that they had envisioned for him 2 years ago when they had signed him.
And did it better too.
No
Damn.
kidding, right? So for coming up this week, Trevor, I know we usually just talk about the games and then we do like over unders and what the lines at. I think we'll just intermix them in this game. Seems like in this uh, episode seems like it'd probably go a little bit smoother. So tonight, 7 p.m. in what is that? 18 minutes. The Bucks
Yep.
are at home against the Miami Heat. Heat are 14-9. Bucks are 14-9. Same record due to tiebreakers. The Miami's third in the East. Bucks are fifth in the East. We had said it before. Miami's going to give you the best shot. Their fans are going to be chirping on Twitter. Miami's going to play a little dirty. Do you expect that to change at all in this game?
No. I am happy to see PJ Tucker back to get his ring though. That'll be nice.
Yeah, that'll be a good ceremony to see. Um, what the Bucks do very well, and Miami doesn't do very well. The Bucks rebound the ball. They have 40. They average 47, about 47 and a half rebounds a game. Miami 44. Bucks are tied for second. Miami's tied for 20th. Obviously, Giannis is out. Brook Lopez is out. Bobby Portis is, I assume, is going to run center again. I'm sure we'll see some run from DeMarcus Cousins, but that has to be the point of emphasis in this game. I know Bam Adebayo is out, but still, against a team like Miami who's going to get physical, you need to control the ball at all times, and that starts with rebounding.
Well, and this is going to be a hell of a game, right? Because the Bucks have a 7 point spread, or minus 7 points for the spread, because Jimmy Butler is also out, Markieff Morris is out, and addition, Cousins and Hill are day to day, so we don't know what we'll see from them. So this just has all the makings of a weird Bucks Heat game. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like they're always like 5 games a year where it's just a weird Bucks game because of injuries. This will be a weird one, but if you can get a win, cool. If not, I mean, is anybody really putting stock into this game? No.
No,
If the Heat win, they'll be chirping. If they lose, it doesn't matter. You beat our G League team.
right.
It's predictable.
So yeah, just to touch on the spread and the total. So the spread opened up Bucks 5.5, favored by 5.5 points, over under 214. That has now come down. I have Bucks minus 6.5 here, over under 211. We'll just go off of that. Um, just off the bat, I think the under, like, this is a perfect under game. Like you said, there's so many injuries. This game's gonna be physical. I think there's gonna be a lot of missed shots, a lot of 50-50 balls balls gonna be flying all over the place. It's gonna be, I think, it'd be a very sloppy game. I'd be impressed if either one of these teams scored 100 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can see that happen is if Duncan Robinson finally comes out of his funk.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
But no, I mean, and the other thing I guess for the Bucks is if Grayson Allen, Middleton, or Drew Holiday go ballistic. Which, granted,
Right.
it doesn't seem crazy that one of them would, but I'm talking 10 for 14, 7 for 9 from three type ballistic.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like Bucks 5.5. I think, like I said, it's gonna be sloppy. It's gonna be a close game. So if I'm betting, I don't think I'm even touching the spread. Maybe throw. I don't even like the money line either. I think just the under for this game is what I like the most. I guess like we usually do, we can hop right into our. We'll talk about underdog a little bit. Which is a great site for anyone who is trying to trying to get into gambling a little bit. It gives you picks. It's like DFS kind of, but it gives you picks where you pick an over and under. You can parlay it to get 20 times your money, whatever you put in. But tonight, do we have a code for that, Flurry?
I
That
believe
you
we
know
do.
of?
I believe we do.
Okay, we may have a code. DM Zach Bruner on Twitter. He'll help you out at Fantasy Flurry. So we'll just start with the Heat because that's the first one I saw. Tyler Hero, 22.5 points, over under.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, they need somebody to step up, but 22.5 is high. I'm
It
going
seems like a
under.
lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, with Bam there, it's going to be tough for them to grab offensive rebounds, get second shots. So I'm with you. I think we're both on the under on this. I'm going to be on the over on this. I'll say that right off the bat. But it's another Tyler Hero, 2.5 threes. Like you said, someone's going to have to score the ball. I don't necessarily see that. I don't necessarily see Tyler Hero scoring, like I said, 22 points, but I definitely see him scoring at least 3 threes tonight.
Yeah, I can see him having a game where even if he, shoots horribly, he can go 3 for 11 from deep.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be throwing it up. So, yeah, I like the over too.
So Zach just updated us. The code is Flurry, FLURRY, legal in all fantasy sports states. Doesn't need to be a gambling state. DM Zach anyways. Tell him that Luke and Trevor sent you, and just tell him that Royce Newman is your favorite football player on earth. So Kyle Lowry is the next one. 2.5 threes for Kyle Lowry, over under.
I haven't watched Lowry in a lot. I'm still probably going to go under though. That's a weird threshold for players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 3 is guaranteed. I feel like he's much more dirty inside type player today.
And you got to think Drew Holiday will probably be on him all game, which is affects a lot of players. And Kyle Lowry, who likes to get inside and use his butt to wiggle around, it's going to be tough for him to find some open threes tonight. Another one for Kyle Lowry, which I'm definitely taking the under on, is 29.5 points plus rebounds plus assists.
Oh, wait. Points, rebounds, and assists, you said?
Yep.
Right. On the season, he averages 25 combined. You said 29, correct?
29.5.
I might go over. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good of a player. I just feel like, everything's got to flow through him. And so I think he gets 11 assists and just enough points and rebounds. But that's a high line, too. That's tough.
Yeah, my only problem was that I wouldn't expect him to get more than 3 rebounds tonight with this. Like I said, with Drew Holiday on him, he's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough matchup for Kyle Lowry. So just on rebounds alone, I don't, if he gets 3, I don't necessarily see 26 points and assists combined coming. I guess we'll just rip through the last 2 Heat ones here. Duncan Robinson, 12.5 points. I'm going to go with the over because I think Tyler Hero has to see Chris Middleton tonight, which Chris Middleton has long arms. It's going to be tough for him to shoot. Duncan Robinson should be able to be running all over the place coming off the shots. I think he might get 12.5 points, over 12.5 points on 5 threes tonight.
Yeah, and the Bucks, they've let him shoot historically, and they should again tonight. So I think he can easily do that, even if it's 5 for 14.
Yep. And then, like we said, Bam Adebayo's out. Dwayne Dedmon's probably going to be running center. 18.5 points plus rebounds for Dwayne Dedmon. I'll start on this one. I think you definitely want to hit. Maybe not definitely, but I think the over hits on this. With the lack of Bucks big guys, I think Dwayne Dedmon sees at least 10 rebounds tonight, which means you need 9 points. You got to think he gets fouled maybe once or twice. If he makes half of them, that's 12, and you got to find 5 points somewhere else. I think it's doable for Dwayne Dedmon.
Yeah, it's going to be weird to see how this team plays. I was looking at other guys and I said, well, Morris could step up, but he's out too. So do you really expect PJ Tucker, Omer Yurtseven to step up? Udonis Haslam? Hell no. So
Fuck
yeah,
yeah.
I'm going over.
All right. As we have three Bucks picks here to show you where the media bias is with Miami compared to the Bucks. But Chris Middleton, 21.5 points. I'll take the over on this. I think this might be the easiest over. I would be mad if Chris Middleton didn't have more than 20 shots tonight because someone needs to score. And with Giannis out, this is just another reason why people still underrate Chris Middleton. Is he needs to be the guy.
You said how many points again? 22?
21 and a
21?
half.
Yeah, and I mean, he averages 17 and a half with Giannis. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm taking the over, especially with, usually I think this could be a Bobby Portis game, but with all the size they have, I think they shut him down. So I think it's got to be Drew and Middleton.
Yep. So you just mentioned Bobby Portis. I'll give you a twofer here. Bobby Portis 9.5 rebounds and 16.5 points.
Um, Rebounds, I'm going under.
I
I know
agree.
he averages 8, but I think it's a lot more of a rebound by committee approach, kind of like how every NFL teams handles their running backs now.
Hmm.
16 points. I'm going to go under as well. I think this is a guards game. I think whoever wins the battle of the guards wins it because I think the big guys wash each other out,
Yep.
and they'll get plenty of looks with Hero and Duncan Robinson on defense. So I don't
Yep.
think he gets as many shots.
Yep. I've always said too that guards are what win basketball games, that and offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. But to get good guard plays, how you're going to beat teams, and especially with what's kind of turned into a rivalry here with Miami, it's going to be that grinded out game. You got to beat them. And then finally, the last one before we touch on the other games is Drew Holiday 7.5 assists. I'm going to take the over on it. This game seems like it has to go. Before it gets to Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday is going to have the ball in his hands, so he has to make plays. Either to me, it's either a layup, a step back three, or an assist for Drew Holiday, or a turnover, I guess. So I think he contributes to almost all of the scoring when he's in the game tonight.
Yeah, the only thing I'm kind of hesitant about is I can see this being another game where he chucks up 21 shots and makes like 8 of
Right.
them. So that would obviously put you down. And, with an ugly game, are you expecting guys to make that many shots? I think he hits 8. I think he barely gets it. Um, I'll go over, but not as confidently as some of the others.
So if you are listening right now, we're live. If you make those picks and you win, let us know. We'll continue doing this segment. It is a little fun one to do. But to touch on the games coming up, they got the Cleveland Cavaliers Monday, who, Trevor, like you said towards the beginning of the show, that they have a flurry of big guys that they run, which may cause some trouble for the Bucks. Is that something to watch for in this game on Monday?
I think it depends if Giannis is back, right? If
Yeah.
Giannis is back, I don't think their big guys are good enough to defend him and have the energy to play offense. But if Giannis is out, I think those guys eat the whole game. I don't think anybody can guard them as much as I love Bobby Portis.
Yep. I think we're both on the same boat on that one. This should be a game the Bucks win even without Giannis, right? Like Cleveland's not the greatest team ever. Colin Sexton's out for the year. They don't have great guard play outside of Colin Sexton. I mean, Darius Garland's still young, Isaac Okoro's still young, but they don't scare you at all. Like the guard, like we said, the guards against Miami are going to win the game. Bobby Portis and DeMarcus Cousins might win this game against Cleveland if they can, not outman or not outplay the Cavs big guy, but stay somewhat in the same realm as them.
Mm-hmm.
So to hop into the next game, the Bucks have to go to Miami to play They're going to play Miami 2 out of 3 games here. We said before, we'd rather not see Giannis in this game just due to the way that Miami plays. I think if they win tonight, I think they may lose on Wednesday. If they lose tonight, I think they may win on Wednesday. I think it's just one of those weird where both teams are going to have a chip on the shoulder, whoever loses this tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too is right the mental aspect. I
Yeah.
think Giannis mentally is strong, but if he's not 100%, he comes out against Miami, puts up a dud. Is that really what you want for a 3-game road trip, even with one of those teams being Houston? No. Although, in fairness to Houston, they actually have the longest current winning streak in the NBA somehow. So
They do.
good for
Shout out
them.
Houston. It's like how Miami has the longest in the NFL.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're both in agreement on Miami. Like it's gonna be a tough game. We've been talking about Miami this whole show. You mentioned Houston. Let's hop right into that game. So they have to travel from Miami to Houston, which they play on Friday, so they get a day off. Um, two very fun towns to party in from what NBA players have shown in the past. Um, but Houston really they're not a very good basketball team to say the least.
No.
So even with if Giannis doesn't play this game, this game should be easy in my mind. Like this is not a game where it's gonna be a fluke game or anything like that. Like this should just dominate Houston in my mind. Do you feel the same, or am I overestimating how bad Houston is?
I think the Bucks win this game by like 12. I think all Houston really needs, seeing our big guy issue, is Wood to have a great game, which by all means he should. And one of the other guys, Green, Gordon, Porter, Tate, one of those other guys stepping up in kind of a Robin role. Um, but Porter is dealing with injuries, and like you said, this team isn't very good. I don't know about dominate, but I think a wire to wire 10-point game that never gets out of hand but never gets close is what I see from it.
Right. I would love if Giannis is playing in this game. I would love to see a game like what Memphis just did to Oklahoma City and win by what was it 73 points.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. It probably won't be that. I'll say that. I think it's more into your line of thinking, Trevor, where this game, they're up by 10, 15 all game, and it's never really out of reach. Or it's never really out of reach for Houston, but it's never really in concern for the Bucks. One more thing that I forgot that I wanted to touch on, that actually includes the Rockets, is John Wall wants to come back and play. And if he's traded, all the reports are saying that the Bucks are a team that could be in the mix, or he wants to go to, or anything. Obviously, he's got just an insane contract. However they deal to resolve that contract or make it up or whatever. Just taking contract out of it. Would you like to see John Wall play for the Bucks?
No, no.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
mean,
so
I
either.
think they have a good thing going, right? And I think the Bucks know they're not going to get him, because why would you waste your time with Wes Matthews?
Right.
Um, he doesn't work. He's not a great shooter. He's dynamic. He has no knees left. He's
He,
not what he was.
he hasn't
We
played
need big.
yeah. He hasn't played in forever.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yes, maybe when the Wizards first drafted him, I'd say, yeah, get him on the team. But John Wall is so much different than his rookie of the year when he dominated Kentucky than he is now. I believe I'm right on this, but was he a player who hurt his knee like sneezing in his house or something, and he like fell down the stairs or something weird like that?
I
You
gotta
know what I'm
look
talking
this
about?
up, because no, I don't. But it would not surprise me.
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a baseball player, but I thought that was a story.
Boy, I don't. Yeah, you know what? Hey, we'll try. Oh wait, here we go. But it was a fall. He tore his Achilles at home in 2019.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe it wasn't a sneeze or something, but it was something weird.
Yeah, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, wow. He even had an infection in his heel following the surgery. It said he fell from home. It very well probably was a sneeze.
Right.
They wouldn't keep track of that, but yeah.
Right, tripping over his kid's toy or something like that. Um,
It seems like a move real quick, like that the media would report, like thinking that the Bucks are still in 2016, right?
right.
Like they're a cute team, but not a championship contender. Like why has anybody even talked about this? Like I don't know why this is coming up at all.
Right. Yeah, agreed. But that's all I got for this coming week, for last week, for any news. Trevor, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
One thing, NBA came out, took a second round pick away from the Heat and the Bulls for tampering, which obviously people remember they took a second round pick from the Bucks. They did take an extra fine that the Bucks didn't get, if I'm not mistaken, from the Heat and the Bulls, but just shows the NBA only cares about big market teams.
Hmm.
I mean, they said the Bucks didn't get their player, otherwise it would have been worse. Both teams got their player, just second round pick. That means nothing. Um, I think it just shows for as good of a commissioner as Silver is comparatively, him and the NBA still don't know what they're doing because from
Right.
an optics standpoint, for a league that has literally rigged games, has had refs that has rigged games, guys that have shot down trades, this is a bad move. And thanks to baseball being stupid, it's gonna kind of pass after a few days, but it's it's just sad. I'm really glad the Bucks won because this would be something that I would lose my mind over.
Right. And I was going to say, too, I'm not that big of an NHL guy, but like you said, Adam Silver is great relative to, who else are part of the big four commissioners. It's not tough to be better than Rob Manfred and Roger Goodell.
It's really not. Just not be drunk and, you know, say your trophy isn't worth anything. That's really
Right.
all you have to do.
Right. I just wanted to add one thing to that. I tweeted this out, but docking those teams, the Bulls and the Heat, their second round pick, that feels like it affects more of the players who are trying to get to the NBA than the teams, right?
For sure. Like, where does the pick go, right? Like, it should,
Yeah.
the way I look at it, it should go to the team that you stole the player from, right? Now,
Right.
is that completely fair? Maybe not, that those teams kind of get a handout, but to your point, the picks affect salary too. So like if somebody gets picked up still, their salary that they can get is going to go down because the draft or free agent determines that.
Right. Just before we get out of here, I just got some news. Uh, Bucks guard Grayson Allen won't play to Heat due to an illness, and George Hill is also out with a knee injury tonight. Um, so that obviously hurts for 3-point shooting, for bench scoring. So I imagine we'll see a lot of Javante Smart run in this game.
Are the are the Bucks going to score 85 points?
So now if you were thinking maybe you want to take the over of that 211, I think that right there confirms that you should take the under of that 211.
If you take the over, we don't know what to tell you.
Right. Well, that's all I got. Trevor, I think that's all you got. On behalf of Trevor, I'm Luke here at Flurry Sports. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Luke Rhyme, at TrevorLand2. Follow Flurry Sports on Twitter. DM Zach. Good news about Royce Newman. And we'll see you guys later. Tune into our other shows, like I say after every show. We got a bunch of fantasy football stuff out. Sit 'em Stardom with Coach and Henry. I think Jake hops on that every now and then. Me, you, and Zach have fantasy football ranking show. You and Zach and Henry have the waiver wire. We got a bunch of stuff. Oh, we got Lombardi sweep. Oh, we got a whole bunch of college basketball stuff coming out. A whole lot of betting previews for NFL playoff stuff ramping up. We're gonna have a lot of stuff coming out, and hopefully we can help you guys out, win some money or win your fantasy matchups or anything like that. But if you have any questions about Bucks or anything you want to talk Bucks, tweet at me and Trevor, and we'll be happy to talk basketball with you. But on that note, let's get out of here, Trevor. Let's watch some Bucks basketball tonight, and hopefully we see a win.
Have a good one.
Peace.